Welcome, deep divers, to a journey into some of the most profound ideas that shape our internal world and, well, by extension, our entire experience of life. Today, we're not just observing, we're taking a truly personal deep dive into our perception of other people. Think about it. This isn't just some small individual quirk, is it? It's a fundamental lens through which we view everyone and everything, and it absolutely dictates how we navigate the world, how we feel, how we respond. So imagine, just for a moment, if you could actively shift that lens to deliberately choose to see more empathy, more understanding, and significantly less judgment. Wouldn't that be a game changer?
And that precisely is the mission of our deep dive today. We're exploring that very shift, going all the way back to ancient Stoic philosophy to uncover a potent antidote to a cynical and contemptuous mindset. This isn't about some dusty academic debate, it's about practical wisdom, about how timeless principles can radically transform how we interact with and even just think about those around us, moving us from a default setting of habitual critique to a profound space of greater compassion and inner peace.
Our goal, then, is crystal clear for you. We're here to unpack a robust Stoic framework that champions our shared humanity and introduces the powerful, sometimes counterintuitive idea that people often act wrongly out of ignorance, not some inherent, deliberate malice. By the time we wrap up, you won't just have new information, you'll have a clearer, actionable pathway to seeing others with genuine compassion and significantly less harsh critique, ultimately reshaping your entire inner landscape.
To guide us through this ancient wisdom, we've carefully curated a rich collection of Stoic texts. Our primary guides will be the foundational writings of Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius. What's so compelling about these three is that their lives, though vastly different, you have Epictetus, born into slavery, Seneca, a powerful advisor to an emperor, and Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor himself. Each one exemplified these very teachings in the crucible of their own diverse experiences. We'll also touch on the historical context of cynicism itself, understanding what the Stoics were reacting against, and even see how some surprisingly resonant modern psychological insights, particularly from figures like Viktor Frankl, echo these ancient principles with astonishing clarity. So let's begin this fascinating exploration together.
Okay, so if we're going to find an antidote, we first need to clearly define what we're up against, right? What exactly are we trying to counter when we talk about cynicism and contempt? And it's fascinating because when we look at the ancient context, cynicism wasn't quite what we might think of it today. It wasn't just general distrust.
No, not at all. Figures like Diogenes, the quintessential cynic, often embodied a rather provocative, witty, and distinctly caustic style. He was rigorously indifferent, almost defiantly so, to what society considered conventional values.
Right, the stories about him are legendary, living in a jar, scoffing at polite society.
Exactly. Diogenes Laertius, who wrote biographies of these philosophers, captures this vividly. He described ancient cynicism as a contempt of purely conventional values. Diogenes would do things like eat in the marketplace, which was a big taboo, or other, shocking public acts, all to challenge societal norms.
Wow, so pretty confrontational.
Very. He wasn't just critical, he was aggressively provocative in his pursuit of virtue. He believed virtue lay in living simply, in harmony with nature, and rejecting all artificial conventions. Famously, he carried a lamp in broad daylight, saying he was looking for an honest man. A very public, sardonic commentary.
Okay, I can see how that's a radical pursuit of authenticity, but the danger?
The danger is exactly that. While challenging conventions can be healthy, this critical lens of cynicism could, and often did, easily devolve. That rigorous indifference could bleed into a general skepticism about all human motives. It could lead to pervasive distrust, or even outright disdain for others. And that's where this critique turns toxic, becoming what we recognize today as corrosive cynicism.
And that's a crucial distinction. Questioning norms is one thing, writing off humanity is another. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because the Stoics offered a fundamental reframe that tackles this head-on. They taught that our distress, our unhappiness, our emotional turmoil, it doesn't actually come from external events themselves. It doesn't even originate from the specific, sometimes really frustrating actions of other people.
Right. It comes entirely from our own internal judgments about those events and actions.
It's like we're wearing glasses that tint everything with our own interpretations.
It's truly a core Stoic principle, and one that resonates so profoundly even today. Both Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius drive this point home repeatedly. Epictetus famously wrote, "If you are pained by anything external, it is not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment about it."
Your judgment about it, okay.
And Marcus Aurelius echoes that, suggesting your mind is always complicit in the provocation. Your mind has a hand in it. It's a powerful idea that, when you really sit with it, predates modern cognitive therapy by, well, thousands of years.
That's incredible, like CBT before its time.
Exactly. Think of contemporary psychological approaches, like those pioneered by Aaron T. Beck. They fundamentally highlight how our emotions are largely determined by our beliefs, by our internal narrative. So that feeling of anxiety you might experience, often rooted in a belief, a judgment, that something bad is going to happen.
Hmm.
The Stoics, millennia ago, had already mapped this terrain. They identified these distorted evaluations, these profound emotional disturbances, as pathy. Yes, often translated as passions, or, more pointedly, diseases of the soul. They saw them as a kind of sickness, directly caused by our minds misjudging what's truly good or bad, what's controllable or uncontrollable. It's not just an observation, it's a clear diagnosis for mental suffering.
That's a critical point to unpack because it shifts so much power back to us, doesn't it? If negative emotions are a kind of a disease, then that implies we have some agency over them.
We do. Stoics like Chrysippus took this even further. They identified emotions themselves not just as reactions, but as active judgments of value. So something like, say, fondness for money wasn't simply a desire. It was seen as the supposition, the actual judgment, that money is a fine thing, something inherently good and worth pursuing.
Okay, so the emotion is the judgment.
Exactly. Yeah. This is absolutely crucial to grasp. It means that what we often experience as overwhelming, unavoidable emotions, anger, resentment, bitterness, jealousy, perpetual fear, these aren't just inherent reflexive reactions to external reality like a knee-jerk. Rather, they are products of our mind mistakenly assigning value to things that are ultimately outside our control. They are, as the scholar Margaret Graver puts it, dependent on false ascriptions of value.
False ascriptions of value.
Our internal software running on faulty code?
Precisely. Seneca, one of the most eloquent Stoics, famously likens anger to temporary madness. He describes it as a literal disease that, once it takes hold, compromises the entire mind. He saw it as a movement which overleaps reason and drags reason along with it.
It drags reason along with it. Wow. So think about it. An initial impression of injury might strike you a slight, a harsh word. And that initial feeling, that's not anger itself. The actual anger only arises when we assent to that impression, when we actively endorse it, agree with it, judge it as truly harmful, truly threatening our core self. It's that internal agreement, that faulty judgment, that transforms a fleeting sensation into a full-blown destructive emotion.
So if that's the case, if our assent is the trigger, what does this all mean for how we actually deal with everyday challenges, like criticism or perceived insults that feel genuinely hurtful?
Well, Epictetus offers such a clear, powerful, and truly actionable framework here, he says. It is not enough to be hit or insulted to be harmed. You must believe that you are being harmed.
You must believe it. That's radical.
It truly is. It's about recognizing where your power truly lies. If someone says something critical about you, the Stoic approach is to pause. Take a moment of internal deliberation. Consider its truth. Is what you're saying actually true? If it is, well, they haven't harmed you. They've actually pointed out a fault you can address. That's a benefit, isn't it? A gift, an opportunity for self-improvement.
Okay, so if it's true, it's helpful. What if it's false?
If their criticism is false, then there is simply an error. Their mistake doesn't harm you in the slightest. You suffer no actual damage from their faulty perception. The only way their remark truly harms you is if you let it provoke you into anger, into resentment, into taking it on as a personal affront.
Right, so the harm comes from my reaction to their error.
Exactly. That's where your own judgment, your own assent to the idea that you have been harmed, becomes the mechanism of self-inflicted pain. It's a brilliant strategy, really, to disarm external negativity.
So if we truly hold this incredible power over our internal world, that's a monumental realization. It fundamentally reclaims our personal agency. But to fully understand how the Stoics built their complete antidote to cynicism and contempt, we first need to grasp their deepest convictions about human nature itself and our place in this vast, often bewildering universe. Because their solution isn't just about managing emotions, it's rooted in a grander philosophical vision.
Absolutely goes much deeper.
The very core of Stoicism is this incredibly profound and, let's be honest, pretty radical idea that we as human beings don't just possess intelligence, we have a divine spark. The Stoics believed we are, quite literally, fragments of God himself. That's a pretty heavy statement, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and it's a concept that is both beautiful and incredibly empowering. Epictetus, in particular, saw our mind, our hegemonicon, our guiding principle, or ruling faculty as our daemon.
Our daemon. Like a personal spirit.
Sort of, yes. Think of it as our personal internal share of divine reason. So our primary task in life, he taught, isn't about accumulating wealth or external honors, but about ensuring our individual governing faculty aligns with God's will, with this universal reason. This rational faculty, this divine spark, is what fundamentally distinguishes us from other animals and, crucially, is the proper, most effective tool for tackling all of life's problems. It transforms our internal landscape from just a collection of thoughts and feelings into something sacred, a direct connection with the divine order.
And this individual spark of reason isn't isolated like a singular point of light, is it? It connects us to something much, much larger.
Yes, precisely. For the Stoics, the entire universe is governed by universal reason, an overarching rational order or logos. Everything that unfolds, every event, every circumstance is part of this coherent, programmed sequence. There's a grand design, a cosmic intelligence at play, not just chaotic randomness.
A coherent, programmed sequence, so a kind of cosmic plan.
In a way, yes. This is where the Stoic cosmology comes in, inviting us to embrace a pantheistic view, where God is the universe itself, an immanent, all-encompassing divine reason that orders everything. Or, for some, maybe a panentheistic view, where God is both within the universe and also transcends it. Regardless of the subtle distinction, the core idea is that to act according to nature, for a Stoic, means acting in a programmed, rational manner, fully aware that you're an integral part of this cosmic whole.
So it's about aligning your will with the universe's will.
Exactly. Not just existing within it, but participating consciously. As Adam Smith, who deeply admired Stoicism, put it centuries later, whoever does not cordially embrace whatever befalls him, or wishes it had not happened, well, they wish to stop the motion of the universe, to disorder and discompose the whole machine of the world.
Wow, that's a strong statement. Don't fight the current.
Right. Instead, the Stoic attitude, beautifully encapsulated by Marcus Aurelius, is to say, O world, all things are suitable to me, which are suitable to thee, O beloved city of God. It's about a deep, rational, almost reverential acceptance of reality, not as random events, but as an unfolding of divine reason.
Okay, so if the universe has this grand design, this logos, are we just puppets in some cosmic play? Where is our freedom?
A crucial question. The Stoics definitely didn't think we were mere puppets. They carved out a very specific and vital sphere of freedom for us. What depends on us are our value judgments, our impulses towards action, our desires and aversions, in short, everything that is truly our own business. That's where agency lies.
Our judgments, impulses, desires.
Yeah,
The internal stuff.
exactly. This is where our hegemonicon, our guiding principle, becomes our impregnable islet of autonomy amidst the vast flowing river of events that we can't control. Our body, our health, our wealth, reputation, honors, high positions, these are fundamentally not up to us.
Right, those depend on external factors, luck, other people.
Precisely. They depend on the general course of nature, on external factors, on chance. This distinction is absolutely fundamental to Stoic ethics and to cultivating tranquility, or ataraxia. True happiness, for the Stoics, is found only in moral good, which they equated with virtue, and misfortune, conversely, is only found in moral evil, or vice.
So everything else is indifferent. Health, wealth, pain, poverty.
They call them indifference, neither good nor bad in themselves. Their moral valence, their impact on our well-being, comes solely and entirely from our own judgment about them. It's a powerful internal boundary, isn't it, defining what's truly yours to control.
That's a crucial distinction, and I think it brings us to a point about Stoicism that's often profoundly misunderstood. People tend to think of Stoics as cold, unfeeling, maybe fatalistic. But their view of human nature is actually surprisingly optimistic, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. This is a vital counter-argument to many common misconceptions. They didn't see humans as inherently depraved or needing external salvation. Far from it. They believed that if left to their own devices and properly educated, humans would naturally mature into rational, virtuous adults.
Naturally rational and virtuous.
Yes, we are by nature fundamentally reasonable and decent social animals. This directly and powerfully counters the cynical view that humans are inherently selfish, competitive, and driven only by base desires. When we act out of sync with this deepest natural inclination, when we behave irrationally or antisocially, that's when we become unhappy. It's not a struggle against an inherently flawed nature, but a return, a realignment to our true, rational, and profoundly social selves. It's an invitation to fulfill our highest potential.
Okay. With this deep understanding of our internal power, our connection to a rational cosmos, and our inherently good social nature, now we can really see how Stoicism constructs its powerful antidote to cynicism and contempt. It's not just about what we do, it seems, but about how we fundamentally see the world and the people in it.
Precisely. It's a shift in perception at the deepest level.
This brings us to what is perhaps the most profound Stoic teaching for actively countering cynicism. One that almost sounds too simple, maybe too forgiving, yet is incredibly challenging to truly live by. The idea that people, when they do wrong, often do so out of ignorance, rather than some deep-seated inherent malice.
That's a huge leap.
They're operating on faulty value judgments, mistaking what is truly good or bad for themselves and others. It asks us to make a huge leap of understanding, doesn't it?
It does, and it's a Socratic insight that is absolutely foundational for the Stoics, especially for Marcus Aurelius. Think about it. As emperor, he grappled with this daily. What often appears as wickedness to us, selfishness, cruelty, betrayal. From the Stoic perspective, it's more accurately described as an oversight.
An oversight, like they just didn't see clearly.
Exactly. People mistakenly judge indifferent things like wealth, pleasure, fame, as being genuinely good. Or they mistakenly judge pain, poverty, obscurity as genuinely bad. These faulty judgments lead to cravings or negative emotions, which then manifest as impulsive, often flawed, and harmful actions. So instead of vexing ourselves at the perceived wickedness of others, Marcus Aurelius advises us to take heed lest at any time thou stand so affected. Basically, don't react to evil men the way ordinary people react to each other with frustration and anger.
Don't get dragged down to that level.
Right. He points to Socrates himself, who even facing adversaries who condemned him to death, never vexed himself at their wickedness. This perspective fundamentally shifts our internal reaction from raw anger or contempt to one of understanding, perhaps even pity for their ignorance, however challenging that might be in the moment.
That's a profound mental reframing. Pity instead of rage.
It's a discipline.
And if people are acting out of ignorance, then that creates a pathway for empathy, doesn't it? How do we cultivate that empathy, especially when dealing with difficult people?
The Stoics offered a remarkable concept here called oikiosis.
Oikiosis.
Yes, often translated as familiarization or appropriation. It's vividly described as expanding circles of concern.
Expanding circles. How does that work?
Well, oikiosis suggests a natural, inherent progression in our ethical development. It starts with an innate self-love, a concern for our own well-being. That's the first circle. From there, it naturally extends outward to our immediate family, then to our friends, our local community, our fellow citizens, and ultimately, this is the crucial part, to a single global community of all humankind, the final, all-encompassing circle.
So it's a natural human tendency to expand our care.
The Stoics believed so. They thought it was an innate, natural drive within us to care for others. Justice, for them, isn't some arbitrary social construct. It's derived directly from this inherent impulse towards universal human community. Cicero, drawing on Stoic thought, noted that this process naturally begins with the love children receive from their parents. And from this fundamental starting point, we pursue the completed universal community of the human race. It means recognizing our inherent duty of care to all other human beings, simply because they are fellow rational beings.
Wow. It's a powerful call to see ourselves as global citizens bound by shared humanity.
Exactly, and to actively expand our empathy beyond our immediate tribe or group.
So it's about seeing everyone as part of our extended family in a way. Beyond this general sense of shared humanity, Epictetus also emphasized that each of us inhabits specific social roles. Some are given by nature, right, like being a parent or a child, while others are taken on, like being a doctor, a teacher, a magistrate, or even, well, a podcast host.
Indeed. And to live a good life, Epictetus taught, means embracing our nature as rational social beings and diligently living up to the responsibilities that come with these specific roles.
It sounds like a blueprint for a functional society, doesn't it? Fulfilling your duties within your roles.
It absolutely is. This commitment to our roles, to fulfilling our duties, and to the common good is paramount for the Stoics. As Marcus Aurelius, constantly reflecting on his duties as emperor, put it so succinctly, quote, "Rational beings are made for one another. The primary constituent in the makeup of human beings is therefore the tendency to act for the common good."
Okay, so how does this help when someone isn't fulfilling their role or is actively trespassing against us?
Well, Marcus Aurelius offers incredibly practical, self-focused guidance there. He says something like, let him look to that. He is master of his own disposition and of his own operation. I, for my part, am in the meantime in possession of as much as the common nature would have me to possess. and that which mine own nature would have me do, I do.
So basically, that's his business. My business is to do my duty.
Precisely. The power here is that we focus entirely on our own actions, our own duties, our own moral choices, not on theirs. This allows us to maintain our internal integrity and composure, regardless of external provocations or the perceived failings of others. It's a powerful exercise in maintaining inner freedom.
That perspective of internal control and shared humanity becomes even more vital when facing truly extreme external circumstances, what we might call genuine wickedness or profound suffering. I'm thinking of examples like Seneca's political struggles at Nero's court. Here's a leading Stoic philosopher, mentor to an emperor, yet he was sucked ever deeper into the mire of family intrigue, struggling to do good with methods that were, well, expedient in the extreme.
It's an incredible test case. Seneca faced immense moral dilemmas and political pressures. His philosophical ideals were constantly challenged by the brutal realities of power under Nero. His failures and compromises, as historians note, weighed on him heavily.
It must have been tempting to become utterly cynical.
Immensely tempting, I imagine. Yet throughout it all, Seneca consistently sought to define the right path of life through philosophy. He never gave up on the pursuit of virtue, even in conditions specifically designed to corrupt or destroy him. His letters often explore how to maintain one's integrity when surrounded by moral decay.
And there are more modern examples too, right?
Absolutely. Think of Admiral James Stockdale, a prisoner of war, isolated and tortured for over 7 years in a Vietnamese prison camp. His captors actively sought to dehumanize him and his fellow prisoners, to break their spirits, turn them against each other. Yet Stockdale, who literally carried Epictetus' Enchiridion in his wallet, refused to quit trying to be our brother's keeper.
Wow. Even under torture.
Even then, he actively worked to maintain morale, establish communication, foster solidarity amongst the prisoners. These examples, Seneca and Stockdale, they highlight the immense human capacity to maintain integrity and connection, to actively resist the pervasive pull of cynicism and contempt, even when external circumstances are engineered to dehumanize and utterly break the spirit. They stand as testaments that our inner citadel, our capacity for judgment, for moral choice, for connection, remains inviolable if we choose to protect it.
These insights into shared humanity, the source of human error being ignorance, and the incredible resilience of the human spirit are profoundly powerful. But they're not just abstract ideas. Let's explore specific Stoic practices, the actual spiritual exercises that can help us actively cultivate this non-cynical, empathetic mindset in our daily lives, moving from theory to tangible action.
Let's get practical.
The Stoics weren't just about abstract ideas or armchair philosophy, were they? They saw philosophy itself as a practical way of life, a rigorous set of spiritual exercises. It wasn't merely discourse about philosophy, but the active practice of philosophy itself, as thinkers like Epictetus and Pierre Hadot have so clearly emphasized.
Exactly. This concept of philosophy as a way of life, not just a subject of study, is a critical distinction. It's about what we might call a purification of one's mind. A phrase that, while maybe not originally Stoic, captures the essence perfectly. It's about actively reshaping our values, refining our goals, transforming our inner world, not just accumulating knowledge for its own sake. It's a continuous, intentional effort, a daily commitment to inner transformation. Think of it less as a lecture and more as a rigorous mental and emotional training regimen.
And speaking of purification, Marcus Aurelius himself referred to this process as the catharsis, the purification of the mind. It involves gaining what we might call cognitive distance, right? Realizing that the awfulness or the goodness of a situation doesn't actually come from the event itself,
but entirely from our own thinking and value judgments about that event.
Yes.
Separating the raw data from our interpretation.
Okay.
Precisely. Marcus Aurelius makes this point repeatedly in his meditations.
Yeah.
Your judgment, and your judgment alone, makes an event into an obstacle, or, conversely, an opportunity. It is entirely up to you. This requires us to cultivate moment-to-moment awareness, to develop a kind of mental mindfulness. It allows us to step back, look objectively at our initial impressions, analyze them, and then proceed constructively, rather than just reacting impulsively based on that first hit.
Learning to see that our immediate reactions are often just projections.
Exactly, like viewing the world through strongly tinted glasses. Recognizing this is the first step in purifying our mind, by consciously separating these judgments from the external events themselves.
So if our emotions are fundamentally judgments, then we can gain control over them by intercepting that judgment before it fully forms. It's about creating a pause, isn't it? taking a moment, a beat, to reflect on what has just happened before we make a definitive judgment about it.
It is. And it sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful in practice. This aligns perfectly with classical Stoic doctrine on impressions or phantasia. An initial impression, let's say, of an impending evil or a perceived slight, might strike the mind. It might even cause an immediate brief physiological response, a racing heart, a flinch.
Sure, that physical reaction.
But the wise person, the Stoic ideal, does not assent to the view that the thing is truly scary or harsh or truly harmful. There is only a brief and superficial response without true lasting fear or anger taking root. It's that assent, that conscious, internal agreement with the impression that generates the full-blown emotion and its associated distress. Learning to withhold that assent, to create that pause and scrutinize the impression, is a profoundly effective tool against unwarranted cynicism, anger, or fear. It's the gatekeeper of your inner tranquility.
And like any skill, this isn't something you master overnight. It's a process, right? Just as we can develop bad habits like constantly defaulting to cynicism or anger, Epictetus suggests we can actively break them.
Yes, he's very practical about this. If you want not to be of an angry temper, he advises essentially stop feeding the habit. Throw nothing on it which will increase it. Start small. Count the days you haven't been angry. Celebrate those small victories.
It's a very practical, almost cognitive behavioral approach, centuries ahead of its time.
It's remarkably forward-thinking. Epictetus encourages us to renew the combat for good fortune and happiness every single day. He offers immense encouragement, assuring us that even if we stumble and give in to an old habit, we can always begin again. If you once gain the victory, he says, you are like him who has never renounced the combat. This isn't about striving for immediate perfection. It's about consistent, deliberate effort and an unwavering belief in our capacity for self-improvement. Habits, especially emotional ones, are patterns that can be rewired.
Building on that idea of embracing what happens, one of the most radical and perhaps challenging Stoic practices is amor fati, love of one's fate. A phrase popularized by Nietzsche much later, but it resonates so strongly with Epictetus's core teachings.
It's an incredibly powerful mental posture. Epictetus put it plainly and directly. Don't insist that what happens should happen as you wish. Wish that things happen as they actually happen. Then your life will go well.
Wish that things happen as they actually happen. Wow, that's a high bar.
It is, but it's not passive resignation. It's an active, rational embrace of reality as it unfolds, understanding it as part of that grand, rational cosmic order we discussed. Seneca takes this even further. He urges us not just to accept adversity, but to welcome it as a training exercise.
Welcome it.
Yes. Like a wrestler who gains skill and strength from tough opponents, Seneca argues that misfortunes are opportunities to display and strengthen our virtues. Every challenge, every external event becomes an opportunity to practice virtue, to align with the cosmic whole, and to demonstrate our inner resilience. It reframes perceived setbacks into opportunities for growth.
Okay, so these are powerful internal practices. What about how we interact with others while on this path? Epictetus had some very practical advice here too, didn't he? About not necessarily broadcasting your philosophy.
He did. He said, on no occasion call yourself a philosopher, and do not, for the most part, talk among laymen about your philosophical principles, but rather do what follows from your principles.
So walk the walk, don't just talk the talk. Show, don't tell.
Precisely. This is what modern Stoic scholars like William Irvine call stealth Stoicism. Let your positive changes, your inner transformation, speak for themselves through your actions, rather than through boastful declarations. This aligns beautifully with a deeper desire, which Adam Smith explored, to actually be what ought to be approved of, rather than just seeking external approval. Montaigne, though not strictly a Stoic, embodied a similar spirit, refusing to be a slave to anything but reason, committed to truth and fair dealing. It's about living your philosophy authentically. Let your character be the testament.
While our focus today is squarely on Stoicism, the experiences and insights of Viktor Frankl, well, they offer an almost miraculous modern echo of these ancient teachings, especially regarding perception, resilience, and overcoming cynicism, even in the most extreme conditions imaginable. His time in the concentration camps, it's an incredible testament.
It absolutely is, and it provides such a vivid, real-world validation of these Stoic principles under the most unimaginable duress. Frankl, as a psychiatrist, observed that a profound sense of meaning was a source of unbelievable levels of resilience among prisoners in the camps.
Meaning as resilience.
Yes. He realized that even when stripped of everything, family, dignity, identity, basic survival, he still retained the ultimate freedom. The freedom to choose his attitude towards his suffering. In those dehumanizing conditions, he understood he had nothing left to fear from life and could truly live in fear of God alone, as one scholar notes. He emphasized that meaning isn't just given to us, it's discovered, experienced, and lives out through our choices. He rejected reductionism, embracing the personal dynamic search for purpose.
It's a powerful echo of the Stoic idea of finding meaning in our internal response, our judgments. And his concept of self-transcendence, that seems to connect directly with oikiosis, doesn't it?
Completely. Frankel's concept of the self-transcendence of human love, where being truly human means being in relationship with and caring for others beyond oneself, that strongly resonates with the Stoic concept of oikiosis and our fundamental duty to the human community. His approach underscores the immense power of our internal attitude, our capacity for choice, and the vital search for meaning in overcoming suffering, and actively avoiding despair and cynicism, even in the most brutal, dehumanizing conditions.
He wasn't just observing, he was practicing a form of mental and spiritual resistance.
Absolutely. It's about consciously turning attention away from self-pity and embracing a mission, a purpose, a connection in life, whether that's to loved ones, to a cause, or just to the act of maintaining one's own integrity. It's a modern, harrowing, and ultimately hopeful bridge between ancient wisdom and the enduring human spirit.
So we've taken an incredibly deep dive into the Stoic antidote to cynicism and contempt. We've seen that it's fundamentally about understanding that our perceptions and our judgments are the true source of our distress, our anger, our frustration, not the external events themselves, and certainly not other people's actions. It's a profound recognition of the immense impact our internal world has.
Exactly. By focusing on our innate capacity for reason, the divine spark within us, by recognizing our shared humanity through oikiosis, and by embracing the powerful, often challenging idea that people often err from ignorance, not malice, we can systematically train ourselves to respond with empathy, understanding, and significantly less judgment.
And the Stoics don't just offer abstract theories, they provide practical, actionable tools.
Right, the exercises. Yes. From pausing before giving assent to our first impressions, to actively breaking negative emotional habits, to cultivating amor fati, that profound love of everything that happens, and consciously expanding our circles of concern. All of these practices are aimed at purifying the mind and enabling us to live in harmony with both our own rational nature and the grand rational nature of the whole cosmos.
What stands out to you from this deep dive, for you, listening right now? Perhaps it's Marcus Aurelius's ultimate, almost poetic embrace, which Adam Smith quoted. "O world, all things are suitable to me which are suitable to thee. Nothing is too early or too late to me which is seasonable for thee. All is fruit to me which thy seasons blow forth. From thee are all things, in thee are all things, for thee are all things." One man says, "O beloved city of Cecrops, Athens, wilt not thou say, O beloved city of God?"
The city of God.
This isn't just a quaint, ancient saying. This invitation to see yourself as an integral part of that greater city of God, to accept and even love all that flows from it, including the complex, the difficult, and the often challenging actions of other human beings. It offers a truly profound and lasting antidote to cynicism. It offers a pathway towards a more compassionate, resilient, and deeply engaged life in the world, whatever it throws at you.